We made this video in collaboration with our good friends at The Richest. Stay tuned to the end to see their video. Who doesn't love a good Easter egg, right? Are you one of those people who look for them in movies? Today we're gonna look at some movies with Easter eggs you may not have seen before. Check out this list we've compiled for you. Before we begin, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You'll be joining our notification squad and be the first to know of new content. Also, can you guess which feature film these emoji are hinting at? Stay tuned to find out shortly following the video.
You will each receive an identity disc.
Pac-Man, Tron. Chances are you've heard of both Pac-Man and Tron. What you might not have known is Tron may have actually just been a live-action version of Pac-Man. During a scene in the 1982 classic, Ed Dillinger is eyeballing a schematic diagram with an image of Pac-Man while searching for Flynn and Tron. While his anger rises, you can hear the classic Waka Waka sound from Pac-Man. Namco's Pac-Man had been released in Japan 2 years before the 1982 United States theatrical release of Tron. The filmmaker's fun but short inclusion of an iconic video game character is amazingly fun. Even these days, it's still cool to see. It's hard to believe that both the film and video game have almost been around for 4 decades. If you're a fan of Disney movies and haven't seen the original Tron, it's worth checking out. Although it might be a little cheesy for your liking given the fact that technology has come a long way since then. It's still fun to watch. There's nothing like watching disc battles with guys in spandex with glowing lights on them, not to mention the sweet sound effects to go with it. If you've seen Tron, had you seen Pac-Man before today?
I'm a doctor.
Frank Abagnale cameo. Catch me if you can. Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio both gave stellar performances in Catch Me If You Can, released in 2002. Leo DiCaprio plays Frank Abagnale Jr., who successfully forged millions of dollars worth of checks while posing as different people, and Tom Hanks plays the FBI agent pursuing him. All of this is based on a true story. In a funny twist, when DiCaprio's character is finally apprehended, the arrest is aided by none other than the real-life Frank Abagnale. The real-life con artist poses as a French policeman. Abagnale puts Leo in a cop car while they were in the small town of Montréchal, France. Did you know that was the real-life Frank Abagnale at the end of the movie? Frank Abagnale thought it was pretty neat to have Leonardo DiCaprio play him in the film, and also to have Steven Spielberg direct it. Spielberg had actually owned the rights to the story for 20 years before he made the movie. He waited so long to make it because he wanted to see what Abagnale would do with his life before putting his story up on the big screen. Another interesting fact is that Abagnale was close friends with the FBI agent Joe Shea who pursued him.
I think this just might be my masterpiece.
Star of David, Inglourious Basterds. If you've seen Quentin Tarantino's film Inglourious Basterds set during World War II, then you may know which Easter egg we'll be talking about for this segment. It's the part where the bastards have captured 3 German soldiers and are trying to have one of them point out on a map where his comrades are. If you're one of those people who notices minute details, then you for sure saw the yellow leaf fall on Corporal Wilhelm Wicke, played by Gideon Burkhardt, who's standing next to Brad Pitt. This moment is significant because Corporal Wicke is an Austrian-born Jew who left for America when the Germans invaded. The leaf very much resembles the Star of David and also falls on the left of his chest, the place where the Nazis made him wear it. Eli Roth, who starred in the film as the Bear Jew, says Tarantino did this on purpose. Someone pointed out that the leaf mimicked the Star of David on the soldier, and Quentin decided to keep it in the film. When you're watching it, it is kind of awkward the way it just sits there at first, and you wonder why they didn't just redo the scene. Well, now you know. Starbucks coffee cup. Fight Club. Most people would agree that Fight Club is one heck of a movie centering around a man who suffers from insomnia and is looking for a way to change his life. One way is through coffee, and the other way, well, we're not supposed to talk about. You might be asking yourself, why the coffee? Well, for this Easter egg, it's all about coffee. Starbucks coffee, we might add, or at least the cup. David Fincher, the director of the film, has given us a bone and said there's a Starbucks cup hidden in assumingly every scene of his 1999 classic. Fans everywhere have tried their hardest to spot them. Have you spotted them before? When Fincher first moved to Los Angeles in 1984, he said you couldn't get a good cup of coffee to save your life. Then came the launch of Starbucks. When it became successful, there were 2 or 3 on every block. Representatives of Starbucks read the script and they knew what they were doing and were ready to poke a little fun at themselves. Fincher said he had fun using the Starbucks cups everywhere, and from now on, you'll probably try and spot them all the time while watching the movie.
Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull?
Lone Pine Mall, Back to the Future. How can you not love the on-screen chemistry between Marty McFly and Doc Brown in Back to the Future? The movies are extremely popular to this day, and for good reason. Today we're gonna look at an Easter egg you may have never seen in the movie before. You definitely need an eagle eye, and hopefully you don't blink when the moment arrives. If you remember, Doc and Marty originally meet at Twin Pines Mall before Marty goes back in time. When Marty goes back to 1955, the mall of course hasn't been built. Instead, it's a ranch owned by Mr. Peabody. The ranch coincidentally is named Twin Pines as well. When Mr. Peabody believes Marty is an alien because he's wearing a yellow protective suit and looks very out of place for that time period, Marty makes a quick escape in the DeLorean and runs over one of the two pine trees. The future was altered, and when Marty returns at the end of the movie to prevent Doc's death, the mall has been renamed to reflect what Marty did. Pretty funny, right? Did you ever put the sequence of events together before we gave you the answer?
Nice car. What's the retail on one of those?
Same universe, Fast and Furious and Herbie Fully Loaded. Now, while you may be thinking that the only thing that Fast and Furious and Herbie Fully Loaded have in common is that they're both movies involving cars, they may also take place in the same universe. We know it sounds crazy, but just hear us out. In an early junkyard scene in the family film Herbie Fully Loaded, we catch a glimpse of none other than the 1970 Dodge Charger driven by Dominic Torreto in the original Fast and Furious. It can mean pretty much one thing and one thing only. The two films take place in the same universe. Herbie is an anthropomorphic white Volkswagen Beetle that has a mind of its own and is very fast. It's pretty crazy to think about him being in the Fast and Furious universe, don't you agree? In Herbie Fully Loaded, there's a street race scene in which Herbie has lowered suspension and blue LED lights. If the two films really are set in the same universe and there's a load of hotshot street racers, it's a wonder why they've never mentioned the Love Bug. You'd think that it would be a car they might want to get their hands on for a job.
All right, just keep it still back there, lady, or else we're gonna have to, to shoot you.
Prince, Fargo. There's a pretty cool piece of trivia from the Coen brothers movie Fargo if you didn't know it already. If you're a fan of the musician Prince, then this will definitely tickle your fancy. If you happen to find yourself watching the film, take a hard look at the credits while they're rolling. You'll see that Prince's symbol shows up, but it's sideways. This was done as a wink that he supposedly plays the victim in the field. The victim in the field was in fact played by a storyboard artist for the movie by the name of J. Todd Anderson. But people still like to think that Prince was the one lying in the snow. In fact, he actually was almost cast as the main villain. He was originally from Minnesota and a friend of the Coen brothers. The symbol was used in the film because it was during his battles with the record company and the sign was the only thing he was allowed to use. He wanted to do a small part, but it just didn't work out. Had you seen the Prince symbol in the credits before today?
I solemnly swear that I am up to no good.
Marauder's map, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban was the first film in the series that had a darker tone. It was also the film where we can notice the child actors become more mature. If you don't remember, this is the film where Harry's given the Marauders map from Fred and George Weasley. The map shows all of Hogwarts, including everyone's location on the grounds. One of the best tools for getting up to no good. Having an invisibility cloak is pretty sweet too. If you wait until the end credits of Prisoner of Azkaban, you can see the map doing its job, tracking people's movements with footsteps around the halls of Hogwarts. If you notice in the bottom left corner, there are two sets of footprints which are facing each other. One set happens to be spread around the others. Now remember, this film was rated PG. They might not have shown it on screen, but it seems like they were hinting at a little mischief going on between two students after the credits. For all we know, Harry could have mustered up the courage to tell Cho Chang how he really felt about her. Or maybe it was two professors.
Where do you think you're going? Well, I'm not going that way.
R2-D2 and C-3PO, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Harrison Ford is mostly known for his iconic roles as one of the galaxy's best smugglers in Star Wars and the adventurous whip-wielding Dr. Indiana Jones. We all know that he plays both characters extremely well and both franchises are very popular. What you may not have known is that the two were partly intertwined as seen in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Get ready to have your mind blown if you didn't know this one already. They're kind of hard to see, but look close enough and you can make them out. R2-D2 and C-3PO make two appearances in Raiders of the Lost Ark. First, the two are shown as what appear to be hieroglyphs on a pillar when Indiana Jones locates the Ark. The moment occurs right before Indy lifts it open and the pillar is on the left-hand side of the screen. Pretty cool, right? Carpet design from The Shining is the same as Sid's home. If you blink, or if you don't really have a true eagle eye, you might miss an interesting Easter egg planted in Pixar's Toy Story. We know that Pixar is famous for planting Easter eggs in their films, but they're mostly self-referential. What you may not have known is that the Toy Story series has a lot of nods to Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. You're probably asking yourself, why are there homages to a horror movie and a kids movie? We'll explain it to you. The one we'll be focusing on today is the carpet in Sid's house. We catch a brief glimpse of it when Woody and Buzz are trying to make their escape, starting at the top of the stairs. You probably remember Woody quietly walking like he's stepping on eggshells. Then his pull string gets caught on the design of the rail. The carpet may be a different color than in The Shining, but it's definitely the same design as the carpet from the Overlook Hotel. Have you seen this before? The director of Toy Story 3 is a huge fan of The Shining and even runs his own fan site. The film was his main inspiration for becoming a filmmaker. Well, that's all we have time for today. Have you noticed any of these Easter eggs before? Are there any that caught your attention? Do you have any you wished we would have included? Let us know in the comments section. Also, the answer to the movie emoji quiz from earlier is... Did you get it right? If you liked this video, then be sure to check out 10 actors who turned into monsters by the richest. Make sure to comment, share, and subscribe to their channel.